Thank you all for being here. We're going to start. This is going to be somewhat free flow, somewhat Hertzberg Katz Oprah vision, whatever that, we're not sure what that means yet. We'll find out during the course of the next hour or two. But also want to draw your attention to the maps on your table and also the map behind you. And if you have a chance to pin your routes up there during this process, that would be great. But in the meantime, let me first turn it over to the godfather of all transportation, especially in the Valley, and a mentor to almost all of us, if not every one of us, David Fleming.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Richard. Well, welcome to Valley Presbyterian Hospital. I was chair here for about 25 years, and we want to welcome you. We're your hosts this morning. It's kind of interesting because a few years ago, the first transportation summit ever done by the Economic Alliance was in this room, and it was chaired by Dick Reardon. And out of those came two other summits, and we finally got the Orange Line because of it. And so consequently, we have a lot of history as far as transportation is concerned and this hospital. Valley Press is almost 60 years old. It is the largest community-owned independent hospital in northern Los Angeles County. Now I said community-owned because we're not part of one of those big chains where all the decisions are made in St. Louis or Seattle. All the decisions involving this hospital are made on this campus, and we have a board of directors made up of Valley residents. So it is a community-owned Valley hospital that's been around since 1958. We were the first hospital in the Valley to have a neonatal intensive care unit for new preemies, newborn babies. And it's now the largest neonatal NICU in northern Los Angeles County. We've had some incredible cases here. We had one baby that got down to 13 ounces. Can you imagine 13 ounces? Not only was she saved, she today is a mother that had her child here. So, you know, it's a great story, but they do wonderful work. We're the first hospital, incidentally, to have an amputation prevention center. Now, what is that? The number one disease in the San Fernando Valley and practically all of Los Angeles is diabetes. People lose limbs because of diabetes. We have a unit here that saves those limbs, so you don't have to be going through an amputation. They've done some incredible things. They've got some great phlebotomies, people that run that unit. We're proud to say that Valley Press is really strong financially. We have over $100 million in reserves, and we were voted the best hospital for 10 straight years by the readers of the Daily News. Let me ask you a question. Did anybody use the Witt Freeway to get here this morning? or the Reseda Freeway? I guess not. You know, they were promised, but they weren't built. There were a lot of things that have been promised, and what we want to talk about today is making promises come true. And so without any further ado, I want to welcome a guy that I retired from Latham and Watkins as a lawyer, and now I'm his senior advisor, but he doesn't take much advice and doesn't need much. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our own State Senator Bob Hertzberg. Bobby.
Mr. San Fernando Valley. Let's give it up for Mr. Fleming. And if you have any doubt at all you got to do is come to his office at the State Building, and above his door it says, Mr. San Fernando Valley. And if you had any further doubt, we are in the Gene and Dave Fleming Educational Center, among many other attributes to the San Fernando Valley from the great Mr. Fleming. I just want to hats off to everybody for making it here at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday morning. I just want to give everybody applause for being here. Thank you very, very much. You know, it's an important endeavor. You know, there have been others who have been extremely instrumental. I want to call out Mr. Kobe King over here, who's the chairman of VICA. Stewart's not here. I guess I'm told he's off in Hawaii cutting transportation over there. But to thank VICA, the Valley on Track folks, the COG, Mr. Telemontes, who've been involved. And what we wanted to do here, it was actually Kobe King coming to my office that was the inspiration for this meeting to pull the Valley together to really help tell the story, to make sure that as we go forward with R2, that we do really get, that as the sign says, it's our turn. That if there is more dollars, there are more dollars that otherwise to be part of this, that we organize and pull together a strong and articulate plan in that regard. I want to thank the Valley Economic Alliance and Ken. Where's Ken Phillips? I saw him over there before. Here he is right here for help putting this thing together. The chairman for life on transportation issues, the creator of the MTA, the convener for today, the great Mr. Richard Katz. And I also, just the staff, and Barry who's here, and all of my team, and I just want all the interns. We have 74 Hertzberg interns in the office, and that's only the beginning. To all the interns who worked so hard in putting this together and all this stuff, I want to just give it up to these guys who are out there helping out. Now, one quick question. I want everybody, tap card. Who has a tap card? There we go. This looks pretty good. It's the right audience. We're moving in the right direction. Excellent. Thank you. I don't know how much money's on this, but I got one. Okay, so Richard basically laid this out. What we want to do is not to have this something. Here comes the great Xavier Oslovsky. Hello, Mr. Supervisor. You're right here. I got stories on him from Curitiba that I'm not going to tell yet. But, sorry? Stevie? The great Mr. Fukushima? Is that you? Excellent. He's out here. He's the man behind the scene and all this stuff. But let me just say a couple of things. There's going to be no long speeches. This is going to be kind of a rapid fire deal. We've asked the neighborhood councils all across the valley, the chambers, the cities that represent the communities of the valley to come and show up. And so instead of a presentation, Richard will introduce all of the electeds and the dignitaries at the center table. I'll be roaming, and Richard and I will be going back and forth. And the purpose is to put up here on this board with Sophia Liang, who's our illustrator. What's the name? What do you call yourself? A graphic what? A graphic reporter. That sounds pretty good. To kind of tell the story. Because at the end of the day, definition of success for us is really to begin to inventory all of those things. We saw the story in the Daily News this morning about Northridge. How do we serve those needs? Are they something that need to be done now? Mission College, a number of the big issues that we've got to deal with. So he will be there. Now, just a couple of quick other thoughts. I wanted to demonstrate here on this map. Steve, are we rolling on this? So this is the San Fernando Valley. And if you look here, we have people from Sylmar and from San Fernando. And here we go. The whole San Fernando Valley is here this morning telling the story. I like that. Pretty cool. That was done by Steve and one of our interns in the office. All the communities of the valley. And now we've also, in addition, our interns have gone out on the street to help add some dimension to this story, to not look through the normal avenues, and to begin, Steve, you can put this up. Each of these words represent nearly 200 people from all parts of the community, and we asked them what they thought, what their experience was with transportation. And if you look at this bus, it is each word, the size of the word demonstrates how many responses there are. And of course, the first and most important one was inconvenient. Inconvenient. This is the result of a lot of homework, but we wanted to boil it down into a very simple story about what folks in the valley believe, in addition to what we in this room otherwise think, just the folks on the street. Now, lastly, I want to introduce Randy Witt. Where's Randy, who's right here, who's our great filmmaker of the San Fernando Valley, who's done so many things, a Fernando Award winner, has put together a really good movie, brief movie, that talks about the valley, the diversity of the valley, and the transportation needs of the valley. And we want to show that briefly before I turn the microphone back to Mr. Chairman Katz, to continue with the presentation this morning.
Thank you, Bob. The always understated Bob Hertzberg. He's like this any time of day or night. And the idea of 75 interns in his image is frightening, challenging, encouraging, all of the above. Bob, thank you very much. Let me add to the thank yous. You mentioned also Valley Press Hospital. I know Peggy was here a little while ago. Is Peggy still here? Where's Peggy? Well, Peggy's everywhere usually around the hospital, but everyone at the hospital, and especially for hosting us, providing breakfast, the room, and being a huge part of the community, as David made clear earlier. As I said, we're going to go through this in a variety of different orders, but first we're going to start with a short little film that Randy Witt has provided on the Valley.